Folks, we've never done this before. A 2.5-hour documentary about the cult game STALKER. And this is only the first part. History of creation, behind the scenes of development, previously unknown facts, and a lot of other things. 2.5 hours of high-quality game content is waiting for you. The link was left in the description and pinned comment. Thank you in advance for your support, and we are starting. He's not afraid to challenge classical masculinity and play provocative roles. He criticizes social media, gets embarrassed in interviews, and wows the public with his looks on the red carpet. Timothée Chalamet is an actor who quickly gained fame, artistic recognition, and won the hearts of millions of fans. What is the secret of his success? Why does he avoid fame? And what partners on the set did he have an affair with? Welcome to the Biographer channel. We are getting started. Timothée Chalamet was born on December 27, 1995 in New York. Hell's Kitchen, also known as the Clinton area, once a criminal area, was gradually turning into a cultural and fashionable environment at that time where the young man's worldview was formed. The father of the future actor Marc Chalamet, a Frenchman who worked as an editor and translator for the French department of UNICEF, and his mother Nicole Flender, an American of Jewish origin, was a Broadway dancer. It was she who taught the future star to play the piano and constantly made him rehearse. The family was wealthy and lived in the elite Manhattan Plaza complex in the very center of New York. I am a child of the world. The star smiles shyly when asked to talk about his affiliation. It combines French, Jewish, and American roots, the desire for individualism and self-improvement with traditions, the desire for self-expression and identity. I used to feel that American customs and stereotypes were closer to me. And then as I grew older, I allowed my French side to emerge more, says the actor. Besides, there were many creative people in Timothee's family. It was destined for me to be an artist, he joked, and for good reason. Timothee's mother's brother, Rodman Flender, was a director and actor. His aunt, Amy Lippman, was a screenwriter, as was her mother's grandfather, Harold Flender, who wrote the historical novel Rescue in Denmark about the persecution of Jews by the Nazi regime. But the boy was closer to his father's parents, with whom he spent the entire summer in a French village called Chambon-sur-Lignon, where life was very different from everyday life in New York. Thanks to them, I dream boldly. I'm not afraid to take risks. I'm ready to rush headlong into the unknown, and when necessary, freeze or go with the flow. My grandparents accepted me in different ways, and this helped me believe in myself and feel unique. His parents noticed the acting talent in their child and began to push him in the right direction. So, Timothee began to appear in commercials. Though at first this activity did not bring much joy to the future star, he did not consider acting to be something serious. I was very young, the actor recalled. I just stood and smiled in front of the camera, not taking seriously what was happening at all. Another thing was football. Chalamet fell in love with this sport during a vacation with his grandparents, and for a long time dreamed of becoming a professional football player. And even at the age of 13, he coached boys of 10 to 11 years old when he spent the summer in France. Everything changed in 2008 with the movie The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan, or rather because of Heath Ledger, who played his best role in it, the role of the Joker. Timothee was so amazed by Ledger's performance that he finally understood the whole point of acting, which has been so unpleasant to him all these years. Being an actor is not about commercials with stupid plots. An actor is what he sees on screen, the unpredictability, freedom, and madness that Ledger's Joker conveys. Something stirred inside me, came to life. I enjoyed playing football, but this was the first time I experienced such a feeling. Chalamet no longer considered acting stupid. That was how the artist's first steps in his career began. His parents were not against their son's choice, and from that moment they always supported him, watching every movie starring him and attending his premieres. That was the most valuable thing his parents gave him, and Timothee is incredibly grateful to them for it. By the way, which of Chalamet's roles do you like best? Write your opinion in the comments, and we will continue. At the age of 13, Timothee entered the Fiorello H. LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts in New York. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Jennifer Aniston, and Sarah Paulson were also its graduates, which meant that getting into the school was not easy. Each student and applicant of the Fiorello LaGuardia School undergoes a strict selection process in 2 stages. Timothee failed the first one because of the bad grades at his previous school. However, candidates who failed the first stage were still eligible for the second one. Audition. And this was where Chalamet showed his talent in all its glory. He amazed acting teacher Harry Schiffman so much that he decided to do everything possible so that such a talented young man did not lose his gift. Timothee received such a high score that none of the applicants had ever received at the audition for admission to Fiorello LaGuardia. Harry Schiffman asked to make an exception for a gifted child. Chalamet's fate was sealed. By the way, during his studies, Timothee suddenly discovered his love for hip-hop and his talent as a rapper. Deciding to try his hand at a musical career, the young man took the pseudonym Timmy T. Once he even managed to make a project on statistics in the form of a musical recitative, and he shot a video for his work. The teacher did not appreciate the young man's creativity and gave him a bad grade, but his classmates were delighted. It was at that moment that I decided that I wasn't a musician and it would be better for me to become an actor. The young actor shared later. Despite such experiences, this was far from the only one, LaGuardia school teachers highly appreciated Timothee's creative abilities and considered him one of the best students. It was while studying at school that Timothee realized how serious the profession of an actor was and how seriously one needed to approach this art. If you study it and give it your strength and energy, then you can, through reincarnation, experience life from a completely different side. This discovery completely changed my life. Timothee tried very hard at school. Though big roles in school productions never happened, he got his first roles in the short films Clown and Butcher's Hill. Following the short films, Timothee was given a cameo role in the TV series Law & Order. By the way, this series has become a real springboard for many famous actors.
And like Law & Order is like the mothership, like that employs... wait, I don't think it's running anymore. There's SVU is running still, and there's other versions, but that that gives everybody their start, kind of in acting, right? Yeah.
Loving Leah became another series in the track record of the future star. After that, there was Royal Pains. The series helped Chalamet express himself for the first time. However, it was not television that helped him attract attention, but theater. In 2011, Chalamet made his theatrical debut in the off-Broadway teen comedy production The Talls as a 12-year-old teenager who discovered the sex topic. After the role of Nicholas in the play, Tim was offered a role that gave a real start to his career, though it was a TV series again, this time in Homeland, a series that received hundreds of thousands of rave reviews and the main television award, the Emmy. Chalamet played the role of the vice president's son, Finn. At first, he was supposed to appear in only one episode. However, as a result, his role was extended throughout the entire second season. Timothee gave it his all. This was his first serious role, and he approached it very diligently. He prepared, rehearsed, researched his character, and therefore looked very believable on camera. The role brought Timothee his first recognition and a nomination for the Screen Actors Guild Award in the category Best Ensemble in a Drama Series, and also attracted the attention of director Luca Guadagnino, who at that moment began working on the romantic drama Call Me By Your Name and was actively looking for a candidate for the main role. The script was based on the novel of the same name by Andre Aciman, which told the story of the love of a 17-year-old teenager and a 24-year-old young man, and the main character's process of growing up based on his experiences. In 2013, Timothee brilliantly passed the audition for the main role, which in fact was not an audition at all. The young actor participated in the reading of the script, and the director immediately approved it. Chalamet would later recall that he was very worried during the first days of filming, as he was afraid of how well he would be able to prove himself during the work, but that's a little later. Guadagnino launched the project only in 2016. All 3 years were spent on finding a budget and higher priority projects. Chalamet hasn't been unemployed for 3 years. On the contrary, during this time he played his first and one of the most important films in his life. In 2013, he received a cameo role in the television movie Trooper, directed by Craig Gillespie.
I remember Craig Gillespie, who directed I, Tonya. He put me in my first pilot ever, one of my first jobs. I remember the audition I had for him. I think I had 3 lines in a 3-page scene, so I didn't really have much to say. It was a family scene. I memorized where each family member in the room was, so in this audition my neck was snapping around.
Timothée Chalamet's first small role in a big movie was his role of Danny Vance in Men, Women, and Children. Our hero's partners were real Hollywood stars Adam Sandler and Dean Norris. The film was directed by the talented Jason Reitman, a 6-time Oscar nominee. The role was small but memorable. However, the film was not destined to gather exciting reviews from the audience. It failed at the box office, with Chalamet's hopes of waking up famous. The actor didn't give up and starred in the comedy Worst Friends, just as disastrous as the previous film. But fate gave Timothee a new chance. Christopher Nolan, the director of the same Dark Knight who once made an indelible impression on Timothee, invited him to his famous Interstellar. I was thrilled to work with Christopher Nolan. He is my favorite director, the young actor admitted in an interview. Matthew McConaughey became Timothee's partner on the set. At first, the young actor couldn't even utter a word in the presence of one of his favorite actors. He recalled that McConaughey seemed an example of a real actor to him, serious and charismatic. So at the moment when they needed to communicate with each other, the words seemed to get stuck in the young man's throat. That was again a small role, but Timothee took even the smallest episodes very seriously and responsibly. It was that professional approach that made Chalamet brilliant in the famous scene where McConaughey's character watched his children's video messages. They become friends with Matthew on the set and continue to communicate even after the filming.
I saw natural talent, and I also saw real confidence. And when you see his work in Call Me By Your Name, it's a fierce performance, man. I mean, he's dangerous in that performance and completely natural. He didn't have a false moment in it, and he's here to stay.
For Timothee, this was a huge experience and a push to move forward and not be afraid of big roles. After such success, Timothee decided to stop studying and devote all his time to conquering Hollywood. His mother and agent were against such a decision. They were sure that fame was a fickle thing. Today, you are a talented actor with a worldwide reputation, but tomorrow, no one will remember you. Moreover, Timothee still didn't have a single leading role. The young man listened to their opinion, entered the famous Columbia University, and chose cultural anthropology. The diploma was supposed to be a backup option in case of failure, as well as a way to start an independent life. But it didn't last long. Communication with Matthew McConaughey and flattering reviews of his acting made Timothee make a choice in favor of creativity. He was not going to give up his studies. He was transferred to the NYU Gallatin School of Individualized Study and appeared in classes in his free time from filming.
I think just as consistently putting out as much good work as possible in audition form and casting form is a step in the right direction.
At the same time, he rented an apartment in the Bronx, separately from his parents. Chalamet remembered a feeling of uncertainty during those years, which he described as the soul-crushing anxiety of feeling like I had a lot to give without any platform. But he waited for the job he wanted, trying to avoid commitments that could stifle his growth, such as a multi-year television contract. The world premiere of Interstellar was about to be released. The young man made his big bets on it. He was sure that after that, he would definitely be given the main role in a big movie. It was very exciting for the actor to see himself on the big screen. Imagine his surprise when only a tiny piece from the scene he played made it into the final version of the film.
Oh, I met another girl, Dad. I really think this is the one. Her name's Lois. It's her right there.
I remember seeing it and weeping, he said. 60% because I was so moved by it, and 40% because I thought I was in the movie so much more than I am. He failed again. Did Chalamet feel like Nolan betrayed him? Not at all. Moreover, the actor went to see the film 12 times. In this case, he completely trusted the director's instincts and believed that the final version of the scene with his father looked exactly as it should. Otherwise, it wouldn't go down in cinema history. After Interstellar, Timothee had serious money problems. He hoped to find the right role for himself by sending out details and auditioning daily. The list of films he tried to get into but never got into was truly impressive. Among them were very big titles: The Theory of Everything, Ms. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Captain America's Civil War. Chalamet was at a loss. He loved cinema, but refusal followed refusal, and the young actor began to think if he should continue fighting for his career. But small roles still found him in 2015. For example, Love the Coopers. In this Christmas comedy, Timothee played the withdrawn, silent grandson of the characters played by John Goodman and Diane Keaton. It was a small, modest role that allowed him to be on the same stage with a large number of excellent actors. The Adderall Diaries. There, he played the character of James Franco in his youth, again, not taking up too much screen time. The film which seemed to stop Timothee's failures in cinema was 1 and 2. His performance as Zack, a teenager with supernatural powers, was finally noticed, and reviews from critics and audiences were becoming warmer than those to which the young actor was accustomed. Chalamet's partner in this film is Kiernan Shipka, who became famous thanks to her role as the witch Sabrina and then was almost unknown. That was the actor's first leading role. his first role in a festival film, and he gave it his all. 1 and 2 erased all the bad things that happened before, and Timothee's career got a new start. More likely, 2015 could be considered the real start of the young actor's career.
I feel like early on in my career, I just wanted to work on things that were great, regardless of the size of the role. And that often meant working with a great director.
In 2016, Timothee got perhaps one of the most striking roles in the film Miss Stevens. His character Billy was one of 3 students who went on a journey with their teacher, Miss Stevens. This character was eccentric, unpredictable, and very emotional. The role helped Timothee's talent to reveal itself more than ever before. Despite the fact that the film was not known to the general public, critics were pleasantly impressed by the actor's performance. In the same year, he again tried his hand at the theater stage. This time, the Manhattan Theater Club opened its doors for him. His role was the difficult teenager Jim in the production of Prodigal Son. The role brought Tim not only recognition from American theatergoers, but also his first award, the Lucille Lortel Awards for Best Actor. For the first time, journalists wrote, "Timothée Chalamet is a rising star." In 2016, filming of the drama Call Me By Your Name finally began. Chalamet was given a month and a half to prepare. He needed to learn to play the guitar and also master the basics of the Italian language. Interesting fact, at the casting, the young man was asked if he could play the piano. He did that until he was 12 years old, so he immediately said, yes, of course. Having already received the role, Timothee realized that he had forgotten everything. He had to take daily lessons from an Italian musician for a month. In order to catch up on the basics of music and get into the spirit of the Italian provincial town, the director asked Timothee to come there 6 weeks before filming. Every day, for an hour and a half, the actor practiced playing the piano and also mastered the basics of the guitar by studying Beethoven. But Tim had no problems with French. Director Luca Guadagnino rewrote the main character specifically for him, and Elio spoke Timothee's familiar and native language. This way, according to Luke, he could get even closer to the character and play even more soulfully. Armie Hammer was chosen as Chalamet's partner. He played the role of Oliver. They didn't know each other at that time, and they still had to get to know each other better, but they became close to the director and became real friends. They often had dinner together, watched movies, and communicated a lot. The director organized the first meeting of the actors in a very unusual way. Timothee recalled, "He took us both to the hayloft and suggested we rehearse scene 71. We turned to the right page. The description contained only one sentence. Elio and Oliver roll around in the grass, getting closer to each other. Full of enthusiasm, we began to potter around in the hayloft. When we stopped, there was no trace of the director." This was the only rehearsal before filming. From the very start of work on the picture, Guadagnino rushed right off the bat. He wanted to play the scene of the kiss of 2 young people. The director tried for a long time to get sincere passion and emotions from the actors. He succeeded. In their interviews, actors often mentioned the calm, friendly atmosphere that Luca managed to create on the set. It was like he was making an amateur film. Nothing serious, no drama or tension. It was this trust that helped Chalamet reveal his multifaceted talent and let himself go free. After filming Call Me By Your Name, he was not afraid of either sex scenes or heavy emotional monologues. It seemed to him that now he could play anything, anywhere.
I used to have one of these.
You used to?
Yeah.
How come you never wear it?
Call Me By Your Name made a splash first at Sundance and then at the Berlin Film Festival. Critics were delighted with the director's and screenwriter's work, but most of all with the performer of the role of Elio. Timothee wasn't like anyone else, and his fantastic performance suddenly became a pleasant surprise. Everyone expected much more modest acting abilities from the handsome young man. The most difficult thing was to show the film to his parents, who went to all of their sons' premieres. According to the young man, he was very worried, and during the scene with the peach, he almost burned with shame. And my father, it seems to me too, the actor recalled. But after the film ended, the tension went away. I realized that my parents were proud of me and respected my choice, and I calmed down. By the way, the star still eats peaches, but every time he remembers that episode. It was the start of the interviews, TV shows, covers of magazines, articles in online publications, and hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. Not a single significant event was complete without an actor. Timothee finally got what he deserved. He woke up famous. The young actor has been working all year to ensure that his suddenly sparkling star wouldn't go out. His popularity was gaining more and more momentum, and finally, an Oscar nomination. Chalamet became the youngest actor to ever be nominated for an Academy Award. Moreover, his competitors at this ceremony were titled Gary Oldman, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Denzel Washington. The film never received a single statuette, but this did not upset the young actor. He already took a lot from this film. But Oscar-winning success did not bring Timothee an immediate rise to Olympus. The day after the Oscar ceremony, my carriage turned into a pumpkin, the actor recalled. He returned to New York without an apartment and without money and asked to live with friends because he did not want to return to his parents. I needed to forget, to erase from my memory the myth about Timothée Chalamet that arose during the advertising campaign. At the same time, for many, I remained an empty place. I tried to marry these two realities in my head. The issue of growing up became relevant not only for Timothy's character, but also for himself. From this moment on, Chalamet became one of the most sought-after actors in Hollywood. With each new project and experience, he grew not only as an actor, but also as a person. The benefit of growing up and becoming mature is that one day you find inspiration in your own experiences and in those around you who interest you, Timothee said. To get a foothold at the level he found himself at, the actor had to do some hard work. In the 2017 film Hot Summer Nights, Chalamet played the role of a troubled guy, Daniel, who decided to deal in illegal substances with the most dangerous young criminal in Cape Cod. Critics did not appreciate Elijah Bynum's work. However, they were all unanimous in one opinion. The film was worth watching only because of the talented Timothée Chalamet who played in it. That same year, Greta Gerwig released her Lady Bird. She managed to make a deep movie out of an ordinary teenage drama, and the cast, Saoirse Ronan, Lucas Hedges, and in fact Timothée Chalamet, played their characters perfectly. Lady Bird was warmly received by critics and was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, as well as a Golden Globe and BAFTA. After this, director Scott Cooper fulfilled Chalamet's childhood dream. The actor finally played with Christian Bale. In the film Hostiles, Timothee played the cameo role of Philippe Desjardins, an army private. Unfortunately, in the film, he remained in the shadow of other bright characters, and his role took up very little screen time.
Private!
Pardon, monsieur, mais, capitaine, mais j'ai a question before we depart on our journey.
As with McConaughey, Chalamet was initially very embarrassed by his more experienced colleague. I remember him asking me to repeat my name so he could hear it better and memorize it, he recalled. My voice got caught in my throat, not really being able to get it out, thinking, why, for the first time in my 20 years on this planet, is my mouth not following what my brain wants it to? After a triumphant 2017, the actor was becoming a real attraction for film companies, but now they didn't choose him. He has waited too long, and from now on, he would choose the film that he considered successful. In 2018, Timothee finally played the main role in the biographical drama Beautiful Boy. Directed by Felix von Groningen, decided to once again raise the issue of fathers and sons. Chalamet played the role of Nick, a troubled teenage drug addict, and Steve Carell played the role of his father. Timothee could not refuse the offer to play in the film, having sympathy for both the director and the filming partner.
I like 80% of my time with people that I've looked up to, I'm just like trying not to reveal it, like right now.
The script was based on real events that were outlined in 2 books. Tweak Growing Up on Methamphetamines, written by Nick Sheff, the same teenager who struggled with addiction and who became the prototype for Timothee's character. And the second part was Beautiful Boy, which was written by his father, David, telling through his difficulties and experiences associated with his son's addiction. In preparation, Timothee read David Sheff's memoirs, studied statistics on addiction to illegal substances. He needed to personally meet and communicate with David, as well as attend rehabs and meetings of Narcotics Anonymous. To look even more realistic on screen, the already thin actor lost 22 pounds. Working on the picture took a lot of his energy. He gave himself completely to the role and immersed himself in the problem.
Did you take his $8?
What?
You heard me.
Why would I?
It disappeared and somebody has to have done
Right,
it.
so it's me. This is ridiculous.
At the film premiere of Beautiful Boy, the actor was able to cause delight with his unusual suit from Alexander McQueen, made of fabric with a print of large, bright red roses. Since this period of his career, his looks on the red carpet have been talked about as much as his roles on the big screen. Chalamet admits that he loves fashion, and he's friends with several designers, but he chooses what clothes to wear without outside help. His style is the result of his efforts and vision. I hear about celebrities who have stylists, and that blows my mind. It's certainly not why I act, but I can wear cool clothes from some of the nicest designers in the world, so why am I going to pay someone to figure out what I should be wearing? That's the fun part.
That's a delicate question, not to give you a pretentious answer back, but there was no one I feel like I revered. I've always loved the idea that, you know, you can appropriately express yourself through clothes.
The actor is not afraid to be bold when it comes to fashion. It is worth remembering the floral outfits from Alexander McQueen and sparkling Louis Vuitton on the red carpet, which created a furore on the internet. All this would later lead to GQ magazine naming him one of the best-dressed men in the world. The release of the next film with Timothee's participation, A Rainy Day in New York, cannot be called successful. In those days, society was in turmoil after the scandal with Woody Allen, who was accused of molesting his adopted daughter. Everyone turned their backs on the director, and the cast, including Timothee, refused to receive money for this filming, transferring all the money owed to them to funds to help women who have been subjected to violence. Despite his good performance, the actor was able to experience the other side of fame when you have to bear responsibility not only for projects, but also for those you work with. But one cannot deny the fact that Timothee played well, and his partners were Selena Gomez, Ellie Fanning, Liev Schreiber, Diego Luna, and Jude Law. In 2019, the actor starred in the film Little Women, an adaptation of Louisa May Alcott's novel of the same name. That was a movie by Greta Gerwig, who, again, could not resist the temptation to work with a talented guy. This time, Tim got the role of Laurie, a young man secretly in love with one of the main characters, the March sisters. Chalamet gladly agreed to participate in the project. I would work with Greta on anything. I'm just totally in awe of her. I like working with filmmakers who are 10 times smarter than me, he said. And on the Jimmy Fallon show, he confirmed his words in an unusual way.
I would do any, you know, Greta, if you're watching this, you want me to play a chair or a tree? Like Scarlett Johansson, I'll be a tree.
Furthermore, the actor admitted that he preferred to work with independent filmmakers rather than with major studios in order to retain the freedom to tell the stories that he considered important. The privilege of early fame was the ability to choose. Greta really wanted chemistry between the characters, and therefore she invited the same Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird to play the role of Jo, Laurie's beloved. The scene where Laurie decided to confess her feelings to Jo turned out to be so sincere and was played so talently that Greta called it one of her favorites in her entire career.
I gave up billiards, I gave up everything you didn't like, I'm happy I did, it's fine, and I waited, and I never complained, because I figured you loved me, Jo.
Despite the fact that the film was the 7th film adaptation of the book, Gerwig was able to breathe new life into the classic novel without harming the plot in any way, and her efforts were appreciated by critics. The film received 6 Oscar nominations. Despite the fact that the actor consolidated his success with each new film, he began to be recognized more often on the street. There were also some funny incidents. Timothee played the role of Henry V in the film The King. The director of the film, David Michaud, really wanted to get the talented Chalamet in the film cast, and he was not at all embarrassed that the King of England would be played by a rather young actor. This role stood out noticeably from the range of those characters, mostly handsome boys that he had to play before. Therefore, Timothee immediately agreed and began to prepare to learn horse riding and sword fighting. But this was not enough. Tim lacked knowledge about Henry V and therefore had to read a lot of books. The film's co-stars were Lily Rose Depp, Joel Edgerton, Ben Mendelsohn, and Robert Pattinson. The film received mixed reviews. Many did not appreciate the director's vision, and the lack of Shakespearean text and medieval English made the film historically inaccurate. Timothee's performance was also criticized. Screen Daily wrote that the actor did not have enough variety in his facial expressions and vocal timbre to truly bring the character to life. The fact that Chalamet is quietly spectacular in a film as cold as this makes his portrayal of King Henry even more revelatory. He's well-versed in traversing the full spectrum of human emotion, but all that is needed of him in The King is a permanent scowl and a furrowed brow. Lana Murray writes about him in GQ magazine. At the same time, on aggregator sites, both the film and Timothee's character received, on average, positive reviews.
You shall suffer the indignity of serving me. Wayward son, you so revile. But know now you'll be watched over by an altogether different king.
The actor also did not forget about his love for music. In the same year, Timothee lit up the stage with rapper Kid Cudi, where he performed the intro to his album at the ComplexCon Festival. This was not a surprise for the musician. He and Chalamet were friends, but it was a pleasant surprise for the audience. In 2021, the young star got one of the main roles in Wes Anderson's comedy drama film, The French Dispatch. He portrayed a talented chess player and leader of the student French Revolution.
Don't criticize my manifesto.
Oh, you don't want remarks?
I don't need remarks, do I?
The cast was impressive, although what else can you expect from Wes Anderson? There was Bill Murray, Benicio del Toro, Willem Dafoe, and Adrian Brody, including Tim's friend, Saoirse Ronan. Chalamet was very inspired by this opportunity. The actor was a fan of Anderson's early works, such as The Grand Budapest Hotel, and was ready to star in any role, no matter how big it was. Just the opportunity to be in Wes's film meant a lot to me. It's a great honor to be filmed by him, to live in this world he invented. A few weeks before filming, the actor received a letter from the director which contained the following lines. Over the past years, I have invited young actors more than once, and there were cases when they did not show up or were unprepared. Timothee admitted that he took such words very seriously and tried his best not to look like a black sheep, not to let the team down professionally. And that's why he studied his lines intensively. The film is a collection of amazing stories from an American newspaper of the 20th century. The newspaper division was closing, and as a farewell, the employees were preparing amazing stories for their loyal readers. For Timothee, the entire filming process was very comfortable. I felt free, no tension, no one stood behind you or rushed you, he recalled. The atmosphere was very trusting and calm.
That's what makes me want to be an artist, that's what makes me want to be an actor, is that feeling of flow.
Although the jokes of Bill Murray, who constantly teased the young actors on the set, brought their own fly in the ointment. No one wanted to get on his tongue, Chalamet recalled, but this is further proof of his concern. Like, every picture is special, impossible to pass. You need to give it 100%. The film received generally positive reviews and earned $46 million against a budget of $25 million. Well, Timothee's next role can easily be called one of the most significant in his career. Of course, we are talking about Dune, in which Chalamet played the main character, Paul Atreides. Dune is an adaptation of the novel by Frank Herbert. Denis Villeneuve took on the task of bringing the legendary story to life and recreating the fantastic world described on the pages of the novel. He decided not to be modest. Dune is definitely the biggest film of Chalamet's career to date. A real blockbuster with impressive graphics, special effects, sets, and costumes. Tim was able to work on set with Javier Bardem, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, and many others. The director did not see anyone else as the main character except Timothee. He was the first and only choice. I felt that right now on this planet there is a creature capable of portraying Paul Atreides, the director admitted. But such a scale also led to a feeling of pressure on Timothee, although he already realized the importance of the project for his career. Dune is a dream film based above all on absolute creativity. That's how I treated it and my role, and I stayed away from everything else. When Villeneuve invited the actor to a meeting several years ago, Tim had only read half of the novel and was finishing preparations for filming The King. Though he agreed to participate because he really wanted to work with the famous director, and Villeneuve admitted that he was glad to finally meet the young actor. Timothee recalls that he still cannot forget their dialogue in the hotel room when the director walked around his room and talked about how he was going to make this film, sharing ideas, and Chalamet couldn't get rid of the thought that this was just a dream. Just a year ago, he had nothing. He lived with friends and could not count on such luck. According to the actor, what attracted him to his character was the idea of a guy becoming a leader. It was important for me to understand how such a young man deals with his terrible burden, a supernatural gift, and the mission entrusted to him to save the world, he said. Futuristic landscapes, skillful rendering of sci-fi details from the source material, such as a force shield for battles, spectacular visual imagery, and battle staging, ensured the success of Villeneuve's work. The film set box office records in Europe, Hong Kong, and Singapore. For Timothee, the film became an entry ticket to the major league of blockbusters and confirmation of his status as one of the most sought-after movie stars of our time. In simple terms, this was a great, once-in-a-lifetime honor for me. In some ways, of course, I had to be led and directed. During this 5 or 6 month shoot, I received emotional support from all the people and actors with whom I was lucky enough to work shoulder to shoulder. Villeneuve was also pleased with the collaboration with Chalamet. He has a deep intelligence in the eyes, something you cannot fake. The kid is brilliant, very intellectual, very strong, and you see that in the eyes, he says about the actor. After his participation in Dune, Time named the actor the most recognizable face of the generation.
It's a dream come true in many ways. It feels like a cosign from the community. It feels like a marker of encouragement and recognition to keep going, to keep trying to make good things and things that are fresh and important and new and storytelling.
In doing so, Timothee breaks down the idea of the standard old model of masculinity. His acting style is often described as androgynous, and the actor demonstrates a more sensitive, emotional approach to expressing what a man should be. This echoes society's modern approach to self-expression. Timothee is a thoughtful and poetic person, says Villeneuve. I was always impressed by his beautiful vulnerability. Interviewers describe the actor as a modest and balanced person. Everything he does or says is deliberate. I think I'm here to show that it's okay to wear your heart on your sleeve, Tim said. The actor does not seem to take himself too seriously, does not make harsh statements, and does not consider himself a movie star. Moreover, the perception of himself as the most promising representative of his generation is strange to him. I'm just an actor, he often says. Just an actor. Shortly after Dune, there was a new project, Don't Look Up by Adam McKay with Leo DiCaprio in the title role. For Timothee, who called DiCaprio his role model, the opportunity was a nice bonus. There, the young actor got a controversial role, a young rebel and thief named Yule, and also the main character's boyfriend.
Kate and Yule connect because they're both outsiders, and I like this flavor of a guy, particularly when all the other characters have such consequence in their actions and decisions. Not to say Yule doesn't, but his consequences are felt to him, basically. He does not making decisions that affect the world on a global scale. And recently I played a couple of characters that are...
McKay shared with Variety that his plan was to create a film where absurd, ridiculous comedy is interspersed with sadness in a world that becomes more surreal every year. And in this project, Chalamet was given a role that was not obvious at first glance, that of a bearer of faith. I was talking to Chalamet about maybe doing this little part because we've wanted to work together, the director said, and he was like, yeah, I don't know if there's enough there. But later, a discovery awaited McKay. It was of faith. I know who Timothee's character is, he shared. The team was complete. The film had a limited release in 2021, but was soon released on Netflix. Despite mixed reviews, the movie received 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, and became the second most watched film on Netflix. The young star's performance was well appreciated. Maybe it's the ratty wig, but finally, at long last, Chalamet looks like he's playing someone other than himself. Maybe this ambiguity is a strength to his character above all else. Magdalene Taylor, a staff writer at MEL, wrote about him. The following year, Chalamet again worked with Luca Guadagnino in the romantic horror film Bones and All, where the actor got the main role. His co-star was Taylor Russell. The story is very unusual. The plot is based on the book by Camille DeAngelis and tells about the love of 2 cannibals, Louise, Chalamet, and Marin, Russell. In an interview with Deadline, the director described it as follows. This is a romantic story about the impossibility of love and, nevertheless, the need for it, even in extreme circumstances.
It felt fucking great. I felt high as a motherfucker.
Luca admitted that after reading the script, he immediately thought about Timothee in the leading role. Chalamet not only agreed, but also tried himself as a producer of this film. The actor admitted that the opportunity to have a hand in shaping the image of his character made him very excited. It was very different than the first project we had done together. Chalamet says, Bones and All was a runaway success. During its screening at the Venice Film Festival, it received a standing ovation for 10 minutes. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian called the film extravagant and outrageous, scary, unpleasant, and startling in its twisted romantic idealism, and gave it 5 stars. In 2023, news spread across the media. Timothée Chalamet became the face of the new Bleu de Fragrance from Chanel. The actor admitted that he was not looking to meet the brand when representatives of the fashion house approached him. Besides, he plans to work on a short film for Bleu de Chanel with Martin Scorsese. I'm at a point in my career where I can choose projects that touch my heartstrings, and if there's a feeling that all the pieces of the puzzle have fallen into place, no questions arise, he claimed. In 2021, it became known that the actor would delight fans with a new striking image, young Willy Wonka. The film is a prequel to the famous Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, telling about the youth of the famous chocolatier. Director Paul King built a literal dance studio on one of Warner Bros. Leavesden lots. And then I was immediately doing the vocal and dance training at Leavesden to take on the role of Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka, which was wonderful because I went from playing a disenfranchised cannibal on the outskirts of American society in the 80s to a gifted young chocolatier, Timothee told. Chalamet trained hard for the movie's 7 musical numbers. I felt out of my league, he said, of working on the film, like I was desecrating history. But at the same time, the actor was glad that he was able to express himself in such an unusual new image. To work on something that will have an uncynical young audience, that was just a big joy. That's why I was drawn to it, he says. In a time and climate of intense political rhetoric, when there's so much bad news all the time, this is hopefully going to be a piece of chocolate. In recent years, Timothee has become an internet phenomenon, a heartthrob. His haircuts are discussed online. He's called the new Brando or the new DiCaprio, and more than 18.6 million people follow him on Instagram. His face is photoshopped into various pieces of art.
Pour moi, ça fait très bizarre.
But ask him how he would characterize them. He will answer tense. In interviews, Timothee often expresses gratitude for his great luck while expressing concern with every move or word. It's like he's afraid of doing something wrong. I want to get back to the undefined space again. I'm chasing a feeling. Chalamet continues to conquer new heights. In the future, there is a continuation of Dune and work in the new expected biopic about the young Bob Dylan going electric, directed by James Mangold. Since the start of film production was announced 2 years ago, its preparation has periodically stopped, but the actor, as always, approached the issue diligently. I haven't stopped preparing, which has been one of the greatest gifts for me, he says. It's been a wonderful experience getting to dive into that world, whether we get to make it or not, but without giving anything away, because I don't want to beat anyone to the punch, and obviously things have to come together officially. The winds that are blowing in a very positive direction. Timothee admits that he admires Dylan and how the artist could be out there so much, making such an impact, while also keeping the real person obscured behind the music, the characters in the songs, the language. The star's future, as it seems now, will shine long and brightly. Moreover, he is supported and guided by friends, family, and colleagues. Thus, the already mentioned Leonardo DiCaprio gave advice to the aspiring actor which he mentioned many times in various interviews. Advice that may help Timothee one day get the coveted award. No hard drugs, no superhero movies. In romantic matters, the actor is less public. The actor doesn't like to talk about his personal life, but cunning paparazzi have already managed to catch him with Madonna's daughter, Lourdes, the daughter of Johnny Depp and Vanessa Paradis, Lily Rose Depp, and actress Isa Gonzalez. After filming in Woody Allen's movie, there were also rumors about Chalamet's affair with Selena Gomez, who played one of the main roles in the film, but the actors did not confirm anything. In October 2018, Timothee was spotted on a romantic walk in New York with Lily Rose Depp. The lovers kissed, held hands, and were not shy about demonstrating their feelings in every possible way. The young people met on the set of The King, where Lily played the actor's wife. Tim remembers that Lily was constantly worried about her prominent forehead and asked him if she looked good. "You look like a queen," he said then, and realized that he had fallen in love. The romance lasted a little over a year. In April, the authoritative publication Us Weekly reported that the young people broke up. In an interview, the actor admitted that the paparazzi were largely responsible for it. Journalists started hunting us. It's amazing that Lily and I managed to hide our relationship for so long. As soon as we stopped hiding, we found ourselves defenseless against the paparazzi and the constant obsessive interest of the press in us. And it was all over. The young man can be called a romantic. We all live for the sake of love, and thanks to love, we were able to hold out for so long, he said in one of the interviews. But at the same time, he tried to keep all his love experiences secret, especially after the incidents with the paparazzi during his relationship with Lily Rose. Whether it was the media's fault, it's unknown, but Chalamet admits that he is not a fan of social networks. In the age of the internet, it is increasingly difficult to feel alive. He argues for his position. The actor does not have any specific hobby. I can't even imagine what I would do if I didn't play in films or theater. I devote almost all my time and energy to working on characters, he admitted. The actor is sure that every time he shows his feelings to the world, everything crumbles to dust. I'm one of those people who lives in the moment, but at the same time, I experience breakups very painfully, he adds. The celebrity's heart was not free for long. After breaking up with Johnny Depp's daughter, Chalamet quickly found a replacement for her. It was actress Isa Gonzalez, star of Hobbs & Shaw. The woman was 6 years older than Timothee. In June 2020, the couple was spotted in Mexico at the resort of Cabo San Lucas. The summer romance ended with the advent of autumn. Subsequently, Timothee tried to avoid publicity in this aspect, and in response to a direct question in an interview in 2021, he noted that he has someone to dream about. At the same time, the young man rejected all speculation about his relationship with Saoirse Ronan. Both actors are firmly convinced that they are just friends. The friendship between us is something magical, Timothee said. I feel comfortable and good with her, and we will definitely get married when we are 40 years old. Despite the lack of a romantic relationship, Saoirse speaks very flatteringly about the actor. He's had such incredible opportunities and he doesn't let the reality of that pass him by. She said, he's incredibly gracious and grateful in relation to his work and the people he works with. In April 2023, rumors appeared that the actor was dating Kylie Jenner, a socialite and member of the famous Kardashian family. They could be seen at the stadium during the US Open Men's Final, at New York Fashion Week, and at a Beyoncé concert. How serious this relationship is and how long it has lasted is unknown. Timothee very easily establishes contact with people and moves towards his goal with a confident, unhurried step. What lies ahead for him? We are sure that he will still be able to surprise us with the originality of his roles and the scale of his projects. I hate to say it, but the dream as an artist is to throw whatever the fuck you want at the wall, you know? And I guess what I'm realizing is that one's personal life, one's adult life can be quite boring, and the artist's life can still be extraordinary. And we will work for you to surprise and delight you with new interesting videos. You can click on the icon that appeared on your screen to learn about the life and bright careers of other famous actors. If you enjoyed watching the story of Timothée Chalamet, like this video. See you again on the Biographer channel.